This May the 7th picks edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100x in NBA, MLB, MMA, NHL, golf, and more. Sign up today at Underdog Fantasy using promo code MLB SGPN to get a 100% deposit match. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Monday, the 6th of May, and we are here to have a look around the first full slate of the MLB week, Tuesday, the 7th of May. Joining me is Mr. Scott Reichel. Scott, hey, how are you doing?
They're doing pretty well. Yankees swept over the weekend, which is nice, but yeah, can't complain. I got basketball playoffs, hockey playoffs, and yeah, my teams are not involved in any of those things. So I've just been enjoying it as a fan. So there you go.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Well, I've just finished watching Manchester United get absolutely smashed to smithereens by Crystal Palace, and I will never get bored of that. So I'm in a right good mood. I just told you, I've got a horsefly bite on my arm, and it is killing me. And I am soft as shit, which doesn't help. But you could fry an egg in it, and they're the most uncomfortable things in the world. Watching Bob play football on the wet grass yesterday. So I didn't enjoy that. I followed from afar, Scott, and tried to understand what was the big mad bet you were cashing out and not cashing out over the weekend. Tell me this quick story there.
So I ended up putting together a 3-pick in hockey and basketball. So I ended up having this one hockey game, the final game of the series between the Maple Leafs and the Bruins, and I picked the right score in regulation. So that was 17-1. And then I parlayed that with two, I'd say, reverse correlated things in basketball. I had one player to score 40-plus points and that team to lose the game. And it was $30 to win about 22,000. And I ended up cashing out to win 1,000 in the end because I saw that it wasn't working out. I was in decent shape, I'd say, in the third quarter, but then the team I needed to win fell apart. So I ended up making $1,000, not 22,000, but still better than nothing.
Was it a good cash out then? Was the cash out close to the peak? Was the cash out? Did you leave a few quid on the table, or were you quite happy with where you got it?
It's both. Because I know the highest that the actual cash out got was around 4K, I think. Except I told myself I was willing to sacrifice a couple thousand if a certain thing happened, and that involved the team that I bet to lose to go up by a lot of points. It was around 4K when it was around a tie game, but you can tell momentum and how the game was going that the home team was going to win. So I decided, you know what? I told myself if this team goes up 8 points, I'm going to cash out. It went up 8 points. I cashed out, and they ended up winning by like double digits. So I made the right decision, and I took my 1,000 and I ran.
That's brilliant. Love stuff like that, Scott. No, I was following it, but I just couldn't work it out. I probably, if I'd applied myself, but application isn't a strong point of mine, Scott. Trev, who was missing in action last night, Trev, is first in the chat. Welcome, Captain Insano. Captain Insano nearly hit it big on one of the Kentucky Derby races over the weekend. I think he was dancing all around a fancy trifecta or superfecta, something like that, and didn't quite pull it off, but was close. So yeah, it has been a fun weekend of action. I said to Lonte last night, I went away to Burnley at the weekend. It's great going away from home. I only get away from home maybe once or twice a year, but I got tickets to watch Newcastle away. Brilliant. Brilliant. 1-4-1. Loads of fun. Chanced my way into the corporate boxes at the end of the game for an hour. So yeah, success. Oh, and Bob blagged the match ball. Sorry, everyone who listened to this show last night, because I did tell. This is like me and Scott having a personal conversation. But yeah, Bob came home with a match ball from the game as well. So that was a good fun time.
And Tottenham lost. So you actually gained some ground on Tottenham. And Tottenham
yes,
lost.
So yeah, Tottenham have fallen in a hole
Tottenham's
completely.
fallen apart, but
yeah, absolutely, yeah, for no good reason they shouldn't have done. MLB, there's no day sport today, but there's a game I've just stuck on the telly after the football finished. The Phillies have just hit the front against the Giants. I think we took Phillies run line in this one, but it's currently 1-0 through 5. So hopefully the Phillies can add a second and put this game to bed as well. Tomorrow, we have got one baseball game and then a full slate, 15 games. We've got the majority of them on the board. In fact, the first one, there's two games without pitchers. One of them is the first game, which we look at. But 13 of them are on the board, so we can make solid picks on the majority of these. It's a 3:37 Eastern first pitch between the Texas Rangers and the Oakland Athletics. And it's Texas who have a TBD pitcher. I haven't seen any speculation. I've got no idea. This happened a couple of times over the weekend. Imanaga was pushed back. Myself and Lonte handicapped Imanaga for the Cubs last night. And then Justin Steele's been activated. So Imanaga's pushed back to Tuesday. So we get to handicap him again this evening. And then we had Walker Buehler activated. He goes tonight. We did think Braxton Garrett was going to be activated. He wasn't. I think he's going to have one more rehab start. So this could be a returning pitcher situation for Texas, maybe. But it's Ross Stripling who's going to go for Oakland. And apart from that, that's about the limit of my knowledge on this one. Scott, do you have anything at all?
Well, Texas is going to be favored in this game, just based on reputation and based on overall talent. Now, Oakland's been surprisingly decent this season. I can't call them a good team, but they're definitely better than we thought they were going to be, mostly because of the bullpen. They have the phenomenal 8-9 inning combo. Mason Miller's been incredible. That's well documented already, but I'm not a fan of Ross Stripling. So the question is, do I think Oakland can actually get a lead in the first couple innings and then hold on, because that's why they've been able to win. They've been able to get surprisingly decent starts in games, and the bullpen's been able to shut it down in order to win. I don't see that happening, so it's tough to tell without knowing who's going to pitch for Texas, but I think I'm going to fade Oakland in this game, probably first 5, maybe on the run line, -half a run, but I'm really just not a Stripling guy, just simply put, and I think Texas has enough firepower. Oakland did a good job over the weekend for the most part against Miami. Did get killed in the last game of the series, but it happens. I'll lean to Texas first 5 -1/2.
Yeah, fair enough. I thought Texas were good value at -1. I think regardless of a pitching matchup, Texas for the Monday night game tonight at -130. Texas is always going to be good value at that price against Oakland, just because there is a disparity in the teams, even though Oakland have been scrappy. But without seeing any prices on this, and if it is a bigger name for Texas, there'll be a shorter price than that going up against Ross Stripling. So yeah, I am happy to swerve this one, but we can get into a 6:10 Eastern first pitch between the Detroit Tigers and the Cleveland Guardians. It is Kenta Maeda going for the Tigers, and for the Guardians it will be Logan Allen. Another pitcher that we handicapped last night, Kenta Maeda. Myself and Lonte handicapped him supposedly for a Monday night start, but he does go on Tuesday. +108 the Tigers here, -126 Cleveland, total set at 8.5. And positive about Maeda last night, 1-1 on the season. A 5.02 ERA is worrying, but his last 2 starts have been great. He's only given up 1 solo home run in those 2 starts in games that won in a very Detroit style. They won them 4-1 and 4-2. Logan Allen's reliable, only in that he's bang average. I mean, totally and utterly middle of the road, everything. He's 3-2 with a 5.11 ERA. But that does make him quite easy to handicap. He's going to give up between 2 and 4 earned runs and get between sort of 12 and 16 outs. So you get the same thing all the time. So if Maeda can go well, which I think he can on recent form, I like Detroit. I think they're live. Detroit at plus money, +108. I'll take the Tigers, Scott.
Yeah, I think for this one, I'm going to lean to the under in this game. Both offenses are, I should say, Cleveland's offense has been surprisingly okay, but Naylor recently got injured, so now their offense should be a lot worse. I saw the Tigers get swept over the weekend. Let's just say the offense was not particularly good in that series. I can see a very low-scoring game here. You mentioned Maeda's overall numbers aren't great, but he has been better lately. Total's 8.5. But the Guardians and the Tigers? 8.5? Really? I'll take the under in that one. That feels a bit high.
I was surprised at that. Just before we started recording, I got you to read off the lines. And when you said 8.5, you might have heard me go, ooh, that was an instant. Because like I say, those two Tigers wins, under my ADA, 4-1, 4-2. That's their MO. That's exactly how they operate. So this is a very similar looking spot. 6:40 Eastern first pitch, the Arizona Diamondbacks at the Cincinnati Reds. Zach Gallen draws the start for Arizona, and Frankie Montas goes for the Reds, -133 for the Snakes, +105 Cincinnati. Didn't see a total on this one as yet. Have you got a total, Scott?
Let me quickly check.
Sorry.
I believe like one book has lines. I see 9 as the total.
Okay, seems reasonable. So Gallen 3-2, 3.38 ERA. Now only one of Gallen's last 4 starts has been any good. And on the road, he's 0-2 with a 6.60 ERA. Frankie
Don't we see this
Montas
every year with Gallen? Isn't
Sorry?
Gallen always terrible on the road? The same thing every year.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a great. And they're asking us to back them here at -133, and it's not even as if he's got a good Diamondbacks team to bail him out. There's pitches. You can take some of these Dodgers pitches. They're always going to get 7 or 8 runs of support. D-backs are scuffling at the moment. Frankie Montas is interesting to me here because he wasn't convincing, but he clearly had something wrong with him. He had 2 little starts in the middle of April where he went 2 innings, and then he only went he recorded 2 outs in the start after, and they pulled him. And he's had sort of 3 weeks off, so he's back. And before that, he was really, really good. He had 2 good wins against the Nationals and the Phillies. So if he can bounce back before that, Gallen at the minute does nothing for me, especially on the road. And the D-backs are doing nothing for me. So if Montas can go okay, Cincinnati have been better at home, I'll take another dog, back-to-back dogs here. I'll take the Reds at +105, Scott.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree on this one. It feels like a coin flip game. You mentioned Gallen's and numbers on the road, not great. Montas, I don't know if I could trust him either. So maybe if you want to end up going with a team total, maybe on Arizona, if you do want to fade Montas because you're not sure what you're going to get. But I really don't want to lay that with the Diamondbacks. I just think that Arizona is not an objectively good baseball team right now. Corbin Carroll, I don't know what happened to him, but he's just been a mess this season, and he kind of has to figure it out. But yeah, I think for the sake of this one, it's pretty telling that you're looking at a spot where I'd say the total's at 9 when Gallen's on the mound, and Gallen is viewed as being a very solid pitcher. So they're not expecting either pitcher to pitch well in this one, which I kind of agree with. I'll take the Reds. I think they'll win the game, but I do like getting plus money in what I think is a coin flip. But I don't really trust Montas either. So I guess I'm kind of looking for an over in this game.
Captain Insano with a $1 fine. Get your money in the Christmas party fund, Captain Insano. Spoiler alert here. I'm on my dodgy stick, so I must be about 60 seconds behind you. So Captain Insano informed me of a Bryce Harper 3-run homer. It's currently 0-2 on Harper on my TV, and there it goes. Yeah, that's gone. Out to centre field, just left centre. 3-run homer for Bryce Harper. Right at the end of the show last night, can't remember who it was, came in the chat and asked about Bryce Harper home run props last night. And myself and Lonte kind of directed him to total bases rather than a home run. And I woke up this morning to see Bryce Harper had indeed hit a home run. But it was still cash. And I gave out Lamonte Wade as a Giants player last night who had at least 2 singles and 2 runs. So would have covered a total base props, total base bet there as well. So yeah, 4-0 Phillies. Hopefully that's a good start to the night. We will move on with a 6:40 Eastern first pitch. I feel like I've missed a game. I haven't at all, no. 6:40 Eastern first pitch. The LA Angels at the Pittsburgh Pirates. Patrick Sandoval, left-handed pitcher for the Angels. Quinn Priester goes for the Pirates, who are a home favourite here, -118. The Angels are even money. Total is at 8.5, Scott.
Yeah, I don't really like either of these teams. I don't think anybody actually does. Priester is a pitcher I'm not a fan of, but Sandoval I'm not a fan of either. So, pass. I'm trying to think of where I can find value on this one. Yeah, I'm going to give out a pick. I'm joking. But it's really tough to find anything I actually want to bet in this game. 8.5 is a total. I understand it. Do I trust either offense? Not really, especially with Trout being out now. Pittsburgh minus 125. I don't hate it, but yeah, I guess I'm leaning Pittsburgh. I mean, Priester I've given a hard time to because I don't think he's that good, but he's been okay this season. Sandoval's been underwhelming, but he was pretty good against the Phillies, I think, last start or 2 starts ago. Yeah, I think I'm going to lean Pittsburgh, but once again, I'm just not going to bet this game. I don't see any value between 2 really bad teams.
You kind of picked my my handicap up there because I normally have sort of one relatively confident pick, and underneath I've got Pittsburgh under ? Maybe even I quite like the parlay on the 2 Pittsburgh with the under. That 8.5 far too high for either of these teams. I don't really care who's pitching. Sandoval's numbers are quite bad, but he's actually mainly consistent. Although the Angels always find a way to lose his games, and which is what kind of put me on Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh have been poor lately, really bad. Quinn Priester, he's faced weaker opposition than this. Equally as bad. Oakland. He's faced the Giants, and he's been fine. So I do think Pittsburgh can win a low-scoring game here. So take 1 or all of Pittsburgh and the under, or parlay them both if you want to tenor on something that's a little bit plus money. Underdog Fantasy. Scott was telling us about the NBA playoffs, and Underdog Fantasy are making it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Play the pick'em game. It's as simple as selecting high or low on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and much more. You can mix and match your basketball entries with other sports as well. Get a bit of baseball action in there. Win up to 100 times your money. Loads of fun. Available in over 30 states, including California, Texas, and Canada. And Underdog has just launched Champions, which is a player versus player format in Florida. So make sure to sign up with the code MLB SGPN. Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Underdog Fantasy promo code MLB SGPN. 6:40 Eastern, first pitch. The Toronto Blue Jays against these Philadelphia Phillies. Jose Barrios for Toronto. Christopher Sanchez, left-handed pitcher, will go for the Phillies. Lines are... What page are the lines on? There they are. Plus 110 for the Blue Jays. Minus 138 for Philadelphia. Scott, give us a total and then take us away with your handicap, please.
All right. So for the total in this game, I see the number set at... Sorry, just trying to find it. Okay, just give me 1 second. Total in this game, I see... I wish this database told me the money line and the total on the same page. Yeah, total for this game, I see... Sorry, just scrolling. 8 or 8.5.
Okay. Sorry, thank you. Okay, what you got?
So for this one, I think I have to take Philly. I know that you're looking at Barrios being very solid this season. I get it, but we've been roasting this Toronto team for a year and a half. They're just not very good. For whatever reason, they just can't figure it out. They're just as simple as that. They have some talent in the lineup on paper. You're looking at the pitching staff, and I think the starters have been okay for the most part. I know Gausman and Bassett have had some issues. Kikuchi's been solid, but the point is, it's just a lot of meh. Like, is that a good way to put it?
Yep.
Like, you just want more, and you don't get it. And the Phillies have been one of the hottest teams in the league, and they're winning again 5-0 today. I can't really go against them. I understand if people want to go with the dog here because Barrios has been really good this season, but I just can't do it. I just think that getting Philly, who's about to be 25-11, at minus 130 against a team that's 16-19, I think is a pretty good deal, especially at home. So I'm going to lean to Philly. I get if you want to think Barrios, maybe first 5 for Toronto, but they're below 500 for a reason. I don't think this team's very good.
Well, isn't this game that we're watching right now the exact game we're talking about here? We started recording 20 minutes ago. It was scoreless. And then eventually Philly in the 5th have broken it open. It's now 5-0. The presence of Barrios makes the price. We sat and live faded / laughed at the Blue Jays last night, myself and Lonte, and everyone who was in the chat against the Nationals. Alejandro Kirk running very slowly into that out at home plate when the game was tied at 8. And then the next minute, it's 11-8 Nationals. It's gone. This is the same game. Tuesday night's the same game. I don't trust the Blue Jays at all. And even if Berrios goes really well, at some point the Phillies will get away from them. Will be able to get away from them. So yeah, Philly at minus 138 is a price. So you want to take them on the run line as well. Be a little bit more adventurous. Go for it. 6:45 Eastern. First pitch. The Baltimore Orioles at the Washington Nationals. We have Corbin Burns for Baltimore. We have Trevor Williams going for Washington. Baltimore are short, minus 213. Washington are plus 180. I haven't seen a total on this one either. Scott, you got a total on Baltimore?
Total for this game, I might not have it. No, I see 8 or 8.5.
8 and 8.5. I mean, I think Washington are live here at home. They're a big price. Plus 180. But it doesn't bother me particularly. Williams has been okay. And I don't really have a problem with backing Washington in any situation at the moment because they're always capable of popping up. We've seen them win a few games at the Dodgers at the back end of last weekend. That game last night, we saw them turn over the Blue Jays. So just trying to pick their record up here. Where are they? Top of the page, Washington. So this, yeah, they're 500.
500. Yeah,
they are. They're at home tomorrow, where they haven't had a great record. They've played a lot more road games, but they're 7-3 in the last 10. Obviously, Baltimore are a good team, but you're talking big prices here. You're talking over a $2 favourite and plus 180. And I think Washington, if you keep backing Washington at these prices, I think you'll end up on the right side. You'll end up in profit. So yeah, I'll take a little punt. Another underdog here. I'll take a punt on Washington.
Yeah, so we're on the same page. Even though Baltimore, I do think is a very solid team. At the end of the day, I do think the price is a bit steep because the Nationals are being priced like an absolutely garbage team, and they're not. They're actually mediocre.
Yeah.
Williams has been surprisingly decent this season. He's still allowed no home runs, which has been a pretty underrated storyline because he gave up so many of them last year. Burns, though, does allow home runs. He's allowed 6 home runs. So I do think that Washington, if they can generate some power, whether it involves Abrams, whether it involves potentially Winker, who's been really good this year, I do think you're looking at a spot where I think the Nationals can maybe generate a couple of runs via long ball. And I do think that if Williams can keep the ball in the ballpark, they got a shot. But you're looking at plus 170, plus 175 for a team that's been pretty feisty for the last month. I know Baltimore's been really good. I get it. They were my pick to win the World Series. I know how good they are. Plus 175, though, I think is a pretty steep price. So I'll go with the plus 175.
And yeah, I think I'll make mention of Kyle Finnegan as well. I think he leads the league in saves at the moment. And we have talked about if you want a closer, it's a closer on a team who's going to be involved in tight games, which Washington have done. And yeah, Finnegan's up to in the double digits, so been really trustworthy as well. So yeah, tip my cap to Kyle Finnegan of the Washington Nationals. Move on to a 6:50 Eastern first pitch between the Chicago White Sox and the Tampa Bay Rays. Mike Soroka is on the hill for the White Sox, and Zach Eflin goes for Tampa Bay, who are $2.50 favourites here with the White Sox at plus 205, and the total is set at 8. Scott.
Yeah, so I just refuse to back Soroka. Just as simple as that. I don't think he's any good. 0-3, 6.48 ERA, pass. You're looking at the Rays, and they had a pretty entertaining series against the Mets. They had that walk-off yesterday. A rare walk-off triple, but you don't see that often. But F1's been a bit underwhelming, but his overall numbers are still significantly better than Soroka's. Tampa should be motivated, too, because they got swept by Chicago. I don't know how you pull that off, but he got swept by the White Sox a couple weeks ago. So Tampa might be motivated to get back on track, especially against this team, which is the punching bag for the entire league, except for the Rays, apparently. Give me the Rays run line. Just simply put, they're in the Trop. They find ways to win games in the Trop. But F1's numbers aren't great compared to last year. Compared to Soroka, though, they're still better by a wide margin. So give me Eflin and the Rays minus 1.5.
I think that Mets defeat at the Trop last night was the 15th consecutive defeat at Tropicana Field, going back 8 years. They just can't get a win there at all. Yeah, that sweep by the White Sox at the Rays was an absolute wild anomaly last week and killed me in Survivor. The only bet I picked out here was it's a tentative one because I haven't seen any lines and we'll have to look. It was Zach Eflin's strikeouts, possibly. This is a good spot for Eflin. His record's horrible. He's 1-4 with a 4.17 ERA. His numbers aren't bad, but the Tampa Bay haven't been great at all, particularly on his start. But Eflin struck out 6 in his last 3. Sorry. Yeah, he struck out 6 twice in his last 3 starts. So if there's a number, and Eflin's not a great strikeout, he's never going to put up 9, 10, 11. But if you can get a line of 5.5, because his numbers haven't been great, at home tomorrow against this team, with those 6 in 2 of the last 3 games, I think he could put up maybe 7 or 8. So look at an Eflin strikeout prop. But that was as far as I got without giving out another Tampa Bay run line boring pick. And Tampa Bay's offense just hasn't been reliable enough for me to want to give that out. So yeah, I'd have a look at an Eflin K prop if I was going to put a tenner somewhere. 7:05 Eastern first pitch. The Houston Astros at the New York Yankees. Justin Verlander for the Astros and Lewis Hill goes for the Yankees. Tight on the books, even money for Houston with the Yankees at minus 120. Scott, are you trusting Houston here?
It's really tough because Houston's been so bad this year, but historically speaking, Verlander owns this damn team. The Yankees just can't beat this guy. I think they did at the end of last year, but historically speaking, Verlander's owned this team for multiple years at this point. Regular season, playoffs, doesn't matter. Hill's been good. The issue is he walks a ton of guys. The command can be a bit of a problem. It was not an issue last start, but Verlander at even, I think I gotta be tempted by that. I know the Yankees ended up sweeping Detroit. They didn't look overly dominant in that series. They had the comeback win on Friday. They scored 2 runs in the 9th after having no runs in the first 8 innings. Verlander, though, at even against Hill, it's a pretty good deal. I'll put it that way. Give me Verlander first 5, but I'm not going to take the first half spread. I'll take first half money line instead. I think that I want the push draw in there, but I do think you're looking at a spot where Verlander probably goes 5 strong. Yankees offense has been inconsistent, mostly poor recently, but yeah, give me Verlander against the Yankees. As a Yankees fan, I can tell you right now, they never beat this guy, ever. So I'll go with the Astros first 5.
Matty, DM in the chat, agrees with you again on the first 5, not wanting anything to do with the Astros. But you see, this is one of those great situations where my lack of baggage in the sport means I don't care if Verlander owns the Yankees or not. You people all care. This does not affect me. I'm 4,000 miles away. I was hoping the presence of Verlander made the price for the Yankees, and it absolutely does. I'm actually slightly disappointed the Yankees aren't near even money, minus 120. But the Astros have been poor. They're 5-10 on the road. The Yankees are 11-5 at home. Hill's been fine, 2-1, 3.19 ERA for Lewis Hill plays. Got no problem with that. Yeah, I will not be weighed down by any baggage. The New York Yankees on the money line is my pick here.
I want to quickly look up what Verlander's record is against the Yankees. I want to quickly see if I could find it. So just give me a second.
Go on, then.
But either way, what's your case? Just Houston's terrible and the Yankees have been decent recently?
I'll take a better team with a decent pitcher. Far better home record against a terrible away record. It just ticks all the boxes for you to want to take New York. The only box it doesn't tick is some made-up box, some historical box that has no effect on this. It doesn't matter what he's going to throw tomorrow, what's happened in the past. It hasn't got a memory, Scott, has it?
Fun fact, by the way, Verlander was actually 1-2 last year against the Yankees. So maybe things are turning. Who knows?
See? Things always change. Nothing ever changed by staying the same, Scott. Remember that.
That was deep.
7:20 Eastern first pitch. The Boston Red Sox at the Atlanta Braves. We have Kutter Crawford going for Boston. And Reynaldo Lopez gets start for Atlanta. Plus 145 Boston. -175 are the Braves. This is a low-key, intriguing pitching matchup, Scott.
It is. The question is, do I like it enough to take an under in Atlanta? I might. Crawford's been very good. 1.56 ERA, 1.08 ERA on the road. 7 innings, 2 runs against the Giants last time out. Struggled a bit against the Cubs. Did give up 10 hits in that one, but he bounced back quite nicely. Yeah, I think I'm going to lean to the under in this game. Maybe first 5, but total's at 9. I understand it's in Atlanta. I know it's a hitters-friendly ballpark, but Atlanta's offense has not been overly dominant recently. It's been good enough. I mean, the team's still winning a bunch of games, but it's not like they've had many insane outbursts recently. I'm going to go with the under. I mean, you're looking at the Braves. They got swept over the weekend against the Dodgers. You even go back to the Mariners series. They've lost 5 of 6. So I don't know if I actually want to lay a big price with the Braves here, but going through the offensive numbers here, 1 run, 2 runs, 3 runs, 5 runs, 2 runs, 1 run, 4 run, 2 runs. They have not been good offensively for the last 2 weeks. So I'll go with the under. I think 9's too high.
Yeah, you've made all the points correctly, which is why I want to take Boston here. Crawford's been brilliant. Lopez has I feel like everyone's waiting for Reynaldo Lopez blow up. But I'm not sure it'll come. Have just been swept. And Boston are 12-7 on the road. So couple all that together, plus 145. It's definitely Underdog Tuesday on my cards. Yeah, that's about the 5th dog, and I've got a few more to come as well. But yeah, I'll take Boston here at plus 145. 7:40 Eastern first pitch is the San Diego Padres at the Chicago Cubs. This is the second game that's off the board. We have no pitcher listed at all for the Padres, and I've no idea who it might be. And Shota Imanaga has been pushed back a day as well due to the return from the IL of Justin Steele, who's going to pitch in Monday's night game. We've seen no lines. I know Scott hasn't seen any lines here. I love Imanaga, but other than that, I don't know what else to tell you about this game, Scott.
Yeah, Imanaga is just really, really good. Forget about Rookie of the Year. He might be one of the favorites to win the Cy Young right now. So I'm just going to go with the Cubs. Just simply put, congrats for trading for Arise. I'm sure that's going to make the Padres relevant again. Congratulations. No, it's a nice acquisition. I like Arise as a player, but they got bigger issues than just one leadoff hitter. I'm going to go with the Cubs. The Cubs have been solid this season. Imanaga's been incredible. And yeah, I don't have much more to add. I think the Cubs will be a decent favorite. If I had to guess, probably like minus 150 if I had to guess with Imanaga. So yeah, I'll take Cubs first 5 minus half a run. I just think Imanaga is going to pitch well again, because why would I assume he's not going to? So that's my stance. You have any thoughts on that, or are you just going with Imanaga too?
Well, yeah, I'd have to see who was going for the Padres if I was going to try and locate a team total or a run line and check the weather. There's more questions than answers at this moment. So yeah, the Cubs behind Imanaga, it's hard to go against them. And then, as we know, whenever me and you do a show together, Scott, we do point out that the Padres, as well as the Blue Jays, are our 2 psycho teams. So this does me a favour here by not having to find a pick on the Padres, because I don't want to. They're nuts. 7:40 Eastern first pitch. This is better. I've got a winner here, Scott. The Seattle Mariners at the Minnesota Twins. Emerson Hancock will go for Seattle, and Bailey Ober draws the start for the Twins. Plus 124 Seattle, minus 146 Minnesota, with a total here of 8. Hancock, 3-3, 4.75 ERA. In his last 3 starts consecutively, he's only given up 1 run in each of those, and only 4 earned runs in his last 21 2/3. He walked too many last time against Atlanta, which is why he got pulled slightly early. But that's unusual. That's not like him. And also, he had a shocking road start at Milwaukee, which is why his numbers are so high. Why is ERA so high? And that's an outlier as well. That's not like Hancock at all. Bailey Ober's fine. He's consistent. He has drawn nice opposition so far. He's had quite a soft schedule. And I do think Minnesota took advantage of that schedule when they put the 12. I think it finished at 12. The 12 game winning streak. And also
just
that was
just to read off those opponents, by the way. It was the White Sox for 4, the Angels for 3, the White Sox for 3, and the Red Sox for 2.
Yeah. And Dylan put them on his no-bet list on the very first day of that 12-game winning streak. So it's entirely Dylan's responsibility, which was a good effort. So I do think the Twins are going to regress. They're bang average. Like I said, they've had a nice run, and 12-game winning streak doesn't happen by accident. But they're going to regress, and they're going to regress against the better teams. Seattle have been fine. They're still going along. I think last night is the top of the AL West.
They're half a game ahead of Texas.
Having scored the fewest runs in that division, which is a bit of an anomaly. I bet that doesn't happen very often. But yeah, I like Seattle here. Let's keep with the dogs, Scott. Dog. Seattle plus 124.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. Pretty much the exact same reasons you gave out. Minnesota didn't beat anybody, but that's not their problem. They're in a bad division. They had a pretty solid schedule. They won 12 straight, but the team's not very good. Just watching them play, they still strike out a ton. They still rely a bunch on home runs, but Seattle's been really good and under the radar for the last couple weeks. They got off to a bad start. They woke up. They're in first place in the division. I think Hancock and Ober are pretty similar, just in terms of, I'd say, quality. So I don't see much separating those pitchers, but plus 120 for what I think is going to be a pretty even matchup, at least based on paper. I think Seattle's got a decent shot to win this thing. So I think plus 120, plus 124 is a good price. Give me Seattle.
Okay. Next up, we will have a 7:40 Eastern first pitch between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Kansas City Royals. Colin Rea for the Brew Crew, and Seth Lugo goes for Kansas City, who are a minus 130 favourite. The Brewers are plus 110. Totals at 8.5, Scott.
Yeah, I think for this one, I'm going to lean to Kansas City. I understand why you might be tempted by Milwaukee because they're 20-13 somehow. Most people can't name more than 3 players on their team, but they're 20-13. They're tied for first place. The issue that I have with them is that both Kansas City and Milwaukee did not end the weekend well. Kansas City lost 2 straight games at home to Texas, and Milwaukee lost back-to-back games to Chicago. I'm just not a Rhea guy. I don't think he has. I know his numbers are good this year, but just watching him pitch,
that's a great sound drop, by the way, Scott. If you want to spell that out slowly, you just said, "I'm just not a Rhea guy." Sorry, I've plumbed the depths. Go on.
Oh, it's all good. I just don't think he's that great of a pitcher. I know his numbers are pretty good this year. Lugo's numbers are incredible. I don't know what happened there. They paid him a lot of money, and he's been really good. 1.6 ERA. I'll go with Kansas City. I think it's a spot between 2 teams that might have surprised some people in the early going of the season. So you could argue that they have that in common. Totals at 8.5. I like the under in that game. I just feel like that this number is a bit high. But I am going to lean to Kansas City. They're 13-7 at home. I know Milwaukee's 13-6 on the road. I just think Lugo is better than Rhea, however you want to call it. So give me Kansas City there, but I do like the under. 8.5 just feels too high.
Yeah, agree with you. I've made no bones about the fact I've been on Lugo all year, and I'm prepared to take Lugo pretty much in any situation at the moment. So at home against the Brewers team, who I think will slide back a little bit. And I like Kansas. I back Kansas to win the division at the start of the year. I need Cleveland just to come back to the field a little bit, but I back Kansas at 14-1 to win this division. And they've been good, and one of the main reasons is Lugo. So yeah, I'll take Kansas City and Seth Lugo at minus 130. 7:45 Eastern first pitch. The New York Mets and the goddamn St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals here have. Oh, it's the Lizard King. It's one of those. We always get the Lizard King on our show, Scott. It is Miles
favorite, though.
Yeah, I know it's horrible, isn't it? Well, it's not. It's not great for us. Miles Mikolas and Butto. What's Butto's first name? I forgot. Jose.
Great question.
Jose Butto.
I know I knew it started with a J. I just was not sure if it was Jose or not. But yeah, okay.
Plus 108 for the Mets, minus 126 for the Cardinals. Total is at 8.5. I'm taking the Mets. I like Butto, but I'm out on Mikolas. You know this. I did put all the St. Louis Cardinals in the C last night, and they can stay in the C. I'm not picking them. They're an absolute shit show. I'll take the Mets at plus 108 here, Scott.
Yeah, I want to give them a congratulations, though. They ended up losing a home series to the White Sox. So congratulations. You pulled that off. But Buto was really bad against the Cardinals a couple weeks ago in the start he made against them. So maybe he'll bounce back. Maybe that's why the Cardinals are favored here. You can't even beat the White Sox. I can't pick you to win a game as a favorite. It's a crazy price. Buto doesn't get any run support. He's 0-2 with a 2.57 ERA. He's a better pitcher. Just simply put, Mikolas sucks. I think it's well documented, but the Cardinals suck. So it's a marriage made in heaven for them, and it's a line made in heaven for us. We'll take the Mets.
Matty's got his Miles Mikolas. He's got his Lizard King days wrong. He thought Mikolas was pitching on Monday night in his
It's a
Mets team total.
So, the Lizard King goes the day after.
The Lizard King goes the day after. It's Kyle Gibson tonight, so the team total's still live. I don't really, unless it's Sonny Gray, I don't really care who's pitching. For the Cardinals, they can remain in the sea for the rest of the season. 8:40 Eastern, first pitch is the penultimate game on the show. The San Francisco Giants at the Colorado Rockies. Left-handed pitcher Kyle Harrison for the Giants, who are currently in action against the Phillies. Dakota Hudson goes for Colorado. Plus 140. The Rockies minus 175. The Giants. Totals up there, 10.5, Scott.
Yeah, so even though I like Harrison and even though the Rockies are a god-awful team, there is no way in hell I'm laying 170 with the Giants. That's not happening. This team's terrible, too. It's not like I'm going to suddenly view the Giants as being a worthy option in Coors to get the job done. I know the Rockies have had a hard time hitting at home this season. They're really bad. I get it. 170 with the Giants? That I can't do. This Giants team sucks. And I'll take the Rockies. Are they going to win the game? Probably not. I mean, the Rockies are a bad baseball team. They can lose anybody. They can lose to anybody, but I'm not laying 170. Long term, if you take the Giants at minus 170 moving forward, you're probably going to lose a lot of money. This team's not very good. So give me the Rockies. Why not? I see this game being more of a coin flip than the odds makers expect it to be. Hudson has not been good. I will admit that. Started the year off decently, if you remember that. Then he fell off a cliff. But you never know. You get a young pitcher traveling the course. That could always be a weird experience for that type of young guy. Give me the Rockies to find a way. Why not? I think the price is off.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. I've taken the majority of the other underdogs on the card, so I'll add Colorado to this. I like Kyle Harrison. He's all right. But I don't like him at minus 175. I don't like him, or I don't like the Giants, as Captain Insano rightly points out. This travel spot. We're watching the Giants right now against Phillies. They've got a little time difference. They've got to travel across to Colorado. So there wasn't much stood out in this game, but there's enough, more than enough, to want to take Colorado at plus 140. So yeah, let's jump on the dog. We'll keep rolling with the underdogs. We've got one more underdog here, Scott. This will be a brave call. It's a 10-10 Eastern first pitch, Cowboy time, between the Miami Marlins and the LA Dodgers. Edward Cabrera for Miami and Yoshinobu, I always get this wrong, Yoshinobu Yamamoto for the LA Dodgers. Minus 295, the Dodgers. Plus 240 on the Marlins. Total is at 8.5. So Cabrera, he's 1-1 with a 6.05 ERA. And we were hoping, I say we, people were hoping that Cabrera was going to be one of these pitchers that just settled Miami down a little bit. They had Braxton Garrett, who I think is going to come back next weekend. And they had a third starting pitcher, I can't remember, was due to come back. Luzardo shouldn't be too long. He was all over the place against Colorado last time. What a absolute weird stat line he ended up with. He faced 12 batters. He got 12 outs. He faced more than that. He walked 4 and struck out 9. 9 of those 12 outs were via the strikeout. He could throw anything tomorrow, absolutely anything, because I actually quite like him, and I think he might be okay tomorrow. I think he might start quite well, but eventually the Dodgers will overcome them. So there was a couple of picks here. If you want to be a little bit maverick, the Dodgers' first 5 team total under because I think Cabrera might go okay. I don't think he's as bad as that line suggests last time. But eventually the Dodgers will overcome them and end up smashing them. So the pick's the Dodgers run line. But I think it could be a little game of two halves here. I think Cabrera could hold them early on, and the Dodgers will stretch their legs later in the game. So if you can find a pick out of that lot, that's the scenario, Scott.
Yeah, we agree about the Dodgers run line at -1.5. It's like -134, which I think is a pretty good deal. Yeah, Yamamoto's been solid, with the exception of the one start earlier this season in Korea. You're looking at Cabrera, and he looks really good for like 70% of his starts. And then he has one bad inning where he gives up like 5 runs. It's the same story every time he starts. It's just one bad inning that kills every single piece of effort that he put in for the first couple innings every time he pitches. And when you're against Betts and Ohtani and all these great hitters, one inning, you're going to get killed. And I think that's going to happen in this one. So there might be one inning where he gets shelled, gives up 4, maybe in like the 3rd or 4th inning, and the Dodgers open up a lead. I just have a hard time going against the Dodgers. We saw them kill the Braves over the weekend. They've been in great form. They're as good as advertised. It would be embarrassing if they weren't. But I'll go with the Dodgers run line here. Miami traded Arise. The general manager said this team's not competing for a playoff spot, and we're not even in the middle of June yet. We're not even like in the halfway mark of May. We just started May. And the front office heads already said this team sucks. So they traded away Arise. I mean, it's kind of insane.
Yeah.
I understand this team is really bad. You're not used to hearing the front office basically saying, oh no, we like actively suck. And we're a month and a half into the season. You don't hear that often. Yeah, I think they respond to that game by getting blasted by Oakland. So give me the Dodgers -1.5. This Marlins team is not making the playoffs. They're going to trade a lot of guys moving forward. It's why I cashed my longest losing streak bet on this team. I never had any faith in this team. Give me the Dodgers to kill this team once again. Give me Dodgers -1.5.
Yeah, people talk about the baseball gods a lot. It's the baseball goddesses that have done for Miami here after they jettisoned Kim Eng in the offseason. They tried to put a president of baseball operations above her when she was doing a tremendous job, in a typical white middle-aged man move. So she just told them to stuff it and left her job. And this is absolutely all of those chickens coming home to roost for the baseball goddesses for getting rid of her in that situation.
Have you ever seen that before? Like the GM of a team just tells you outright this team sucks and has no postseason future, and we're like a month and a half into the season. I've never seen that before. Oakland, we knew, was tanking last year. Even this year, they demoted Ruiz. They demoted a bunch of guys for having like Oakland support paraphernalia, and like that was the reason why they got demoted. But they never outright said, "Oh no, we're going to lose 120 games." Miami just came out and the front office said, "Why are you guys even going to the games? We're terrible." That's basically what they said without actually saying it. I've never seen that before in my life. Like, I have to at least acknowledge it. That's extremely weird. Isn't that weird? It's funny.
It is
They're not wrong.
Yeah.
Like, this team sucks, but you can't. I know you're complaining about your attendance, and you have been for years, and you're actively telling the fans, "Oh no, like we already waved the white flag. We're like a month and a half into the season. Why are you even bothering? The season's over already." Like, what? Huh? You can say that publicly? It's just a wild quote to say.
I'm here for it. Okay, it's going to take me ages to sort through all my underdogs here, Scott. Because I've got loads to choose from. You can lead us off with your luck and dog.
All right. So for the lock on the show, got to figure out which one I want to go with because there's actually a lot that I like on the card. You liked a lot more dogs than I did, so we'll have to circle back to that one. But for the lock on the show, do I really want to take the Mets as a lock? Maybe. Possibly.
Wow. Go on, Scott.
You know what? It's the Lizard King, though. So, I mean, I'll let you do it if you want it. You know what? No, I'll go with the hot team. Give me the Phillies. I like -130. Phillies have done well for me on the show. Gave him out a couple of times, but Sanchez, I know, has been up and down. His numbers are okay. He just doesn't get enough wins. Barrios has been good, but it's a really cheap price fading a psycho team. And, you know, I do like fading my psycho teams. So I'll give me the Phillies. They are rolling once again tonight. They've been on absolute fire for the last 2-3 weeks. -130 for the hottest team in the league, I think, is a very good deal. So I am going to go with that as my lock. For my dog, I think I am going to go with... I thought about the Nationals at +175, but now thought about the Rockies. That involves back in the Rockies. I know you tried that last time we were on the show together, and they scored 5 runs in the first inning, and they lost to Miami. 5 runs in the 9th inning, so I'm not going to take them. Give me the Mariners at around plus 124 as my dog. I think Minnesota's due for regression. I think winning 12 in a row is solely based on schedule. This Minnesota team is just not that good if you watch them play. Seattle's been very good, though, for the last couple of weeks. And I know that a lot of members on this podcast preseason, including you, were very high on Seattle. And you thought Seattle would be a pretty good team. They got off to a bad start. They've been very good for the last couple of weeks. I think Hancock and Ober are comparable. And I think Seattle's been pretty solid. They're in first place in the division right now. So give me Seattle on the money line, fading a team that has a very inflated winning streak that ended. And I do think we're expecting them to lose a couple games here and there to kind of even out. Give me Seattle on the money line as my dog at around plus 124.
Seattle, the main concern with Seattle pre-season was the projected runs scored. They were really high in projected runs allowed, that starting rotation, even though they suffered a couple of injuries, Brian Wu, etc. But actually, Seattle have conformed to what we thought they were going to be. And the lack of runs, even though it's bottom in that division, like we say, hasn't concerned them. So Seattle really have fitted into the mold of what we thought they were going to be as a team. You've actually picked the 2 picks, Scott, that I had boxed off there.
I assumed this one, so I was going to let you have it.
Yeah. So. I mean, I was going to be really cocky there and take the Yankees as my lock, just to demonstrate my lack of regard for those Verlander numbers.
And the Lizard.
It's just I'm not hugely sure about it. I've got really. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take Seth Lugo as the lock, Kansas City Royals. Like the Royals, love Lugo. I think he's better than Rhea. You are not a Rhea guy, Scott, as you pointed out. So
nobody
let's
is.
say Kansas City,
nobody is.
Minus 130. Dogs, right then. I've got a whole host of dogs that I'm walking at the minute. Washington, possibly Boston, Detroit are only little. Let's go. I'll tell you what we'll do. Cincinnati is the answer. Cincinnati to win against the Diamondbacks. Montas can go better. Diamondbacks aren't great. Gallen's rubbish on the road. Bounce back from Frankie Montas. Cincinnati better at home. It's only a little one, plus 105, but we got plenty underdogs. So yeah, keep picking the dogs tomorrow. I'll take Cincinnati. Scott, we did it. 15 games in the book. Anything else to tell the people before we let them go?
Yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube and you maybe missed the beginning, I'm going to have time codes for the episode. I may or may not have missed a couple, so I made them up. But I got like at least 13 out of the 15. So just keep that in mind. Just being honest.
So making them up, Scott, what do you think the chances of someone sussing out that you've made them up? Because I very often forget them on the Premier League show. So if making them up's an option, you know that's the option I'm good at. That's the route I'm going to go down.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I got basically all of them right, except for it was the lock and dog. I forgot to actually tally when we started the lock and dog segment. And then there was one game that I forgot, but I kind of guesstimated. So they shouldn't be off by that much. The 13 out of the 15, though, or 14 out of the 16 are on point. So I did as best of a job as I could.
We'll take 82% anytime. That's brilliant. Thanks, Scott. Thanks everyone who joined us in the chat. That was fun. Yeah, got a good feeling about this, which is normally a terrible, terrible sign. But I think we picked some winners there tomorrow. I'm back on Thursday. Some variation of the gang, Munaf, etc.
I never know when I'm on the show, but I'll be on at some point during the week.
It's very much a movable feast here on the MLB Gambling Podcast. Love every minute of it. Thanks, everybody. Like, rate, review. And watch out for the scheduled show. Join us tomorrow. And until then, we will see you down the road. Cheers.